I rise to request that we adjourn in memory of the men, women, and young girl who were killed this weekend in Arizona. They are John Roll, age 63, who served as a federal judge; Gabe Zimmerman, age 30, who was an aide to Congresswoman Giffords; Pastor Dorwin Stoddard, age 76; Phyllis Scheck, age 79; Dorothy Murray, age 76; and most tragically of all, Christina Taylor Greene, age 9, who was born on September 11th and had just been elected president of her class at school when her life was taken. By now, we're all familiar with the terrible events that occurred on Saturday. We're praying for the swift and speedy recovery of Congresswoman Giffords and the other victims who survived the shooting, and we mourn the men and women who lost their lives that day. Certainly, much of the news has focused on the condition of Congresswoman Giffords and on the death of her aide and Judge Roll. They died while serving our country in an official capacity. But we must also remember that all of the other victims of the shooting were also performing a service to our country. They were taking part in government as active, informed citizens. As a nation whose laws are derived from the just consent of the governed, the highest duty each and every one of us has is to embrace our roles as citizens and take part in the governing process. The fact that these men and women died in the performance of the duty deeply saddens us all and compounds the tragedy even further. As public servants, every single person under this dome knows that we are privileged to serve the people, and that privilege comes with both risk and rewards. And this shooting is a terrible reminder of some of those risks. But we must also remember that the ultimate reward is the opportunity to make our state and our country a better place through our service. And that must continue to be our focus. We live in an era of unprecedented economic pain. Millions of Californians and Americans are suffering on a daily basis. And as the events on Saturday showed all too clearly, sometimes that suffering leads to tragedy. Well, it will be some time before we fully understand the events leading up to the shooting. We already understand the pain our nation is suffering and our duty to bring relief to that suffering. 40 years ago, our nation was racked by division and anger. Though the causes were very different, the effects were the same. And one victim of that violence was Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. On the evening of his assassination, Senator Robert Kennedy was scheduled to address a rally in Indianapolis. It fell to him to inform the audience that Dr. King had been shot and killed. He understood the gravity of his words, and I believe that they have a special resonance today. Senator Kennedy said this: "What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion towards one another, and a feeling of justice towards those who still suffer within our country. We can do well in this country. We will have difficult times. We've had difficult times in the past, and we will have difficult times in the future. It is not the end of violence. It is not the end of lawlessness, and it is not the end of disorder. But the vast majority of people in this country want to live together, want to improve the quality of life, and want justice for all human beings that abide in our land. As we're called upon to solve the challenges unprecedented in modern history of California, we need to remember that these ties that bind us are far stronger than the small issues that divide us. As we honor our fellow citizens who will be laid to rest, let us remember that fact and rededicate ourselves to serving our nation and state, that this is our highest honor we can pay to the men and women who gave their lives on Saturday. I ask if my colleagues will join me in rising for a moment of silence in memory of all of those for whom we are adjourning in memory today. Thank you.